On today's show, 5 to kickstart your music marketing in 2020.
This is 30-minute music marketing.
Cue title sequence.
30-minute music marketing for musicians who want to get better at marketing their music.
Hi, I'm Greg.
Hello, I'm Sheldon, and this is 30-minute music marketing, the show for independent artists and DIY musicians who want to get better at marketing your music.
That's probably you now.
Hello, Happy New Year to each and every one of you.
Yep.
And I thought, Greg, because it's the new year, it might be a timely opportunity to explain like who we are and what the blooming
Yes, for those new viewers and
doing.
listeners.
With this particular podcast and TV show, because it is a podcast available from all your favourite podcast platforms. You can find it on the YouTubes in a visual format, on the Facebooks as well. I'm, for my sins, who am I? Well, I work during the week for a concert promoter. We put on gigs and festivals right across the country, from Edinburgh and Glasgow all the way down to London. The biggest show we do is a 2,500 capacity indoor show, and we do
Where's that
one
at?
Manchester.
Okay.
And we do some one-day festivals, the largest of which has a licence for 20,000 people.
It's quite a few.
That's
isn't it?
later in the year. So that's what I do during the day, and I'm also of a weekend #weekend warrior. I'm in a band. And I'm a DIY musician myself, and sort of the aim of this particular show is to give people the benefit of my sort of experience as a DIY musician, because I basically research the best marketing techniques, try them out, and I can give you, the listener / viewer at home, the benefits of my experience. I think it'd be fair to say that on average attendance to our shows is around about 400 there or thereabouts. Some less than that, some more than that.
I think that's a reasonable average.
Yeah. So a lot of maybe what we do on this particular show is devoted to the live space, but that's just because that's what I'm familiar and knowledgeable with.
You know, you're saying that your average is like 400. I mean, can I actually say that, at the price per ticket, so it gives them an idea? Otherwise, you could be just saying it's 400 people and it's free entry.
Yeah,
which it obviously isn't.
It's probably, in UK pounds, £15 to £17 plus those booking fees. I don't see anything of the booking fees.
And
if only I did.
And that's probably about $20 to $22 for those across the Atlantic.
Yeah.
So people are actually spending money to come and see you.
People are spending money to come and see me, and maybe if currently they're not spending that much to come and see you, maybe if you go through our back catalogue of podcasts, you can.
We've got nearly a year of them now.
This is. We're nearly in our. Is it about the 40th or there or thereabouts?
Yeah, and I think I actually look younger now than I did at the beginning of last year.
How on earth has that happened?
Following Lionel Richie's trend.
Anyway, that's me. What about you?
Me, I'm Greg. I run and own Elusive Country Club, which is a recording and multimedia studio and rehearsal facility just on the outskirts of Liverpool in the United Kingdom.
Which is where we record this particular
Which is where we record the show, and I've been doing this for about 15 years, and then prior to that I've also taught music or technology, production, engineering.
We've all taught music technology.
Yeah. And so basically I've managed to keep this place going through just being prepared to compromise initial ideas and also expand and vary what I'm doing.
But you have had musicians
over
the years. You've had and still have a plethora of musicians coming through your doors, and you can identify perhaps the areas of knowledge where they're lacking, and us producing this podcast and this show is sort of like one of our ways of trying to upskill the DIY musician community.
I see a lot of the people who probably watch this on a literally daily basis, and you
Hi,
all,
guys and girls.
Hello, especially John from Grapefruit. It's good to see that you're doing a comeback gig this year. It's a case of like a lot of these people bemoan that they haven't quite got the success that they wish. And I'm sure you, the viewer and listener, might be feeling the same. So we're here to spread a little love and a little bit of experience.
And it's the start of 2020.
Yes.
So, we're full of great optimism. So I thought
Can we put like hashtag 2020 vision?
you can do whatever you want.
Okay.
You're in charge of the captions.
Are we still doing music marketing?
Hashtag Music Marketing Monday.
That's it.
All the M's. That's if you bother to release this on Monday. But anyway, I'm getting dive. And we've probably talked too much anyway. I was hoping for a snappier intro. Never mind.
Speed
Never
it up.
mind. Yes, started 2020.
Yeah.
A good opportunity to reassess and take stock of our music marketing efforts. And I've written down 5 things that I think every DIY musician who's watching or listening to this can tackle and undertake in what I would consider to be probably the quietest month for most musicians. People aren't necessarily doing that much in January because we're all a bit skint from Christmas. So it's a good opportunity now to do maybe all the things you've been putting off. And I've got 5 things down here that maybe we can very briefly discuss and divulge to the people out there.
So today's show, is it a deep dive or is it a full episode?
It's a full episode.
Right.
Greg.
Okay then. So should we dive in?
I'm ready. I'm trying to move you on.
Okay, thanks. Right, so number 1, do some housekeeping. Sheldon,
Yes.
what do you mean?
Housekeeping, right. So as I was saying, it's the quietest time of the year, so it's that opportunity to do all the little niggly, maybe sort of boring jobs that you've been putting off. So when I say housekeeping, is all the information that's on your social media channels, is it actually up to date? So if you were to go to your Twitters, your Facebook, your Instas, that link that you've got in your About section, is it still correct? Is it pointing to the right thing that it should be pointing to? If you go to your About section, is that necessarily up to date? Did you write that 3 years ago and you haven't changed it since, and maybe your musical direction's changed?
Have band members left or
Band
band
members might
joined?
have left and you've not done that. So all that information there. Another thing might be worth looking at is your Spotify artist's profile. So on every artist profile there's a photo. I'm going to ask you, the people at home, how old is that photo? Does that photo need changing, refreshing? Your About information that's on your Spotify profile, is that up to date? On Spotify you get to choose an artist's pick, and I must confess, as I was doing this and researching this, I went on there, and obviously it's January as we're recording this, and my artist pick was still pointing to a Christmas single. So it's a good opportunity to go there. Yeah, it's actually pointing to our current tour at the moment, so you can actually do that. Okay. So it's a good opportunity to do all those things. Another thing as well, YouTube descriptions. Are you one of the sorts of people who put all your upcoming gigs on your YouTube video descriptions as you upload a video? Well, what it may be worth doing is maybe all those videos you uploaded about 18 months or so ago is the information
Is to remove the gigs that you were once
yeah.
advertising.
I'm guilty of that. That's something I necessarily need to do over the coming weeks as it's nice and quiet. And also as well, if I'm assuming you've all got a website, because that's one of the things we continually preach on 30-minute music marketing.
How is that website going?
How's that website going? Have a look at the news section. Is it really going?
For a release of April of last year.
Yeah, so it might even just be worth doing a nice post on your news section saying Happy New Year. Maybe talk about all the things that you did last year, the things that you're looking forward to this year. So if anybody does go on your news section, you can at least that can be up to date.
So, please, housekeeping. I mean, everyone does a bit of a spring clean come the new year, don't they? I've
just been up there into your foyer, Greg, and I was going to chat to you about that afterwards.
Thank you. Stock turnover. So there you go. That gives you the first thing.
Yes,
to do.
housekeeping, tidying up.
Right. So number 2, set your goals for 2020.
Now, this is something we continually to refer back to on 30-minute music marketing, but we all need goals. What? You, the listener viewer at home, what are your music marketing goals for 2020? Do you at least have some? I've got a couple.
I mean, how vague do these need to be?
It's like, how many releases are you going to be? How many singles are you going to be releasing? Now, you should have a good idea now as to how many you're going to be releasing. Have you set any goals as to increasing your social numbers on social media? One of the things I'm trying to do, Greg, is I'm trying to get this year, I'm trying to get my Instagram follower count over 10,000 for the simple reason that if I go over 10,000, then I can put a link in my Instagram stories. So from my Instagram stories, I can send people
Is that
to.
is that why you want to get that Instagram selfie light?
Well, that could be. That could be.
Okay.
But that's one of my music marketing goals. So for the end of the year, I want to have 10,000 Instagram followers. I've got a big gig penciled in for December,
Oh, that's a big
which is a very big gig. So one of the things I have to do is I have to grow and continue to grow my social media following, get more people in my social media ecosystem, because I've got to, especially people based in the northwest of England, because I've got lots of tickets to sell for the end of the year. So that's one of my goals. And so
Remember, it isn't real unless it's written down.
and so what do you do to write it down? You can't see this on the podcast. Visual aids. I've been meaning to put this up actually, but I've been waiting to
Are we actually
do
going
this
to have
podcast.
this? Shall I just put a PDF version of it on the website?
Well, you can all go on eBay and buy an A1 wall planner.
Yeah, okay, we'll do that.
And yeah, that's great now because people can't see my face. And wherever your base is, whether you've got a room in your house where you do all your admin, if you've got a band room, you could even take this to rehearsals if you want.
A cupboard under the stairs.
Write it down on a piece of paper somewhere, even if it's just a piece of paper that you stick on the fridge, and then you can hold yourself accountable to those goals, and you can see whether you're meeting them. If you don't write them down, they really do not exist, and you'll never get anything done.
So write it down, get a yearly planner.
Yearly wall planner, write all those
goals.
objectives, map them out, even if it's only a rough guesstimation as to where things should go.
I suppose it gives you kind of it's almost like your yearly bucket list, isn't it?
And you can see, I'm going to use this as a clipboard, you can see whether you're ahead of yourself or behind yourself. And that way you can help and try and keep on track. Maybe that's one of the reasons why because I do use wall planners. I've got one at work for work things,
Yeah.
and I've got this will be stuck up in my my home office when I get back.
You are quite diligent on these things, aren't you?
Very much so. And as my band members will say, I don't rule with an iron fist, but when I delegate, I want it done.
So there you go. Set your goals for 2020. Done.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So number 3, stop doing things that don't work.
Stop doing the things that aren't working. We're very much creatures of habit, Greg.
Yes, we are.
Even if they're not maybe the right things we should be doing, we like to continue to do the same things.
Like
because
sleeping during the day.
we get into a routine. I'm not bothered what you do, but and we don't like doing change because then we're stepping out into the unknown. But there's probably, listener/viewer out there, there's probably a few things that you're doing and you've done for a while, and they don't necessarily work that well, but you carry on doing them anyway. So some examples I've got down here. Maybe you're on Snapchat and that really isn't working for you. Maybe you're releasing singles and you're sending them to radio, and radio isn't really playing them, but you still carry on sending them to radio. It could well be that you released loads of singles last year, and maybe that didn't necessarily work out and you didn't get the response that you wanted. Maybe you've still got loads sort of planned. So my advice, my challenge to you out there is, even if it's just one thing, identify one thing that you're doing in your music marketing that isn't really working. Just bin it off, and from the time that you've saved and you've now got free, use that time to try something new and to try something else. I mean, even this is a slight sort of variation on that, but just over Christmas, I've got a couple of clients that I do paid marketing work for.
Yeah.
And I've been one of them off for the reason that it was taking up a little bit too much of my time, and I didn't necessarily get on too well with one of the people at the other end. So I just decided to make a clean break, and even if it's only a couple of hours a week that I've got free, I've now got that opportunity to reach out and to either work with someone else or to try new things. One of the new things I've just started this year is that I've started a Facebook group for my band for the first time. I'll tell you more about that later.
Just the band members?
Well, not for the band members, but for my band.
Right. Oh, okay.
Fans,
I got you.
So we've got a Facebook page and we've got a Facebook group. and I've not really had the time to think about a Facebook group until I've got myself a little bit of spare and free time.
And you are a busy man.
I am a very busy man. So identify the things that aren't working in the way that they're supposed to. Be bold.
Try something new.
Strike them out of your life. That gives you time to try something new.
So is this just marketing, or would you kind of delve into a little bit?
I'd say marketing, and if you don't get on with your bass player, bin them off. The bass player's a tenner penny.
It's always the bassist that gets it.
Any guitarist can play bass, let's face it.
So, and also, I suppose if you got a set and the audience disappear for one song, maybe bin that one off.
Yeah. It's a good opportunity for marketing and in terms of other music aspects.
Reflection.
A point of reflection and a point of ceasing the things that aren't working the way they should be.
So there you go. A bit of a challenge ahead for you.
Yep.
Bassists, start trembling. Right, so number 4. Pledge to invest in yourself.
Right, yes.
Oh, it's that horrible word, isn't it?
Well, invest. You don't necessarily have to invest money per se. You can invest time. And how about in 2020, you expand further your music marketing knowledge? So that could well be listening to one extra either marketing podcast or music marketing podcast.
What do you think it's a bit too much for us to ask all our viewers and listeners to just recommend it to one other person? So it helps. No, we know that we're investing in the right thing ourselves.
It could well be that you pledge to read a few more books, marketing or music marketing books.
Yep.
I've just finished reading. What's it called? Is it called Early Years? It's basically but in fact we'll put some details in the show notes for this particular episode. And it's a book about how, if you're an independent artist, how you can go about booking gigs. And it's a book that describes all aspects of the live booking process in terms of booking agents, how venues work, how promoters work, and it's one of the best books on the subject I've ever read. So I'm now getting into the process myself of going, hang on, I actually, as someone who is using music marketing for my own band and for the benefits of this podcast, I'm now pushing myself to go, no, you need to invest a little bit more. So whether it's, whether I say it's time in listening to podcasts, time spent reading books, and it could well be, investing a little bit more money in courses, perhaps. But again, even if you don't necessarily want to spend any money, you can go overboard on the podcast.
Or the YouTube channel.
Or again, YouTube videos, but
spend some time, watch some of the episodes that we did in the past, just to refresh your memory, especially with Facebook campaigns and stuff like that.
It's you're doing well promoting the 30-minute music marketing brand. Very well done, Greg.
Thank you. I've had a bit of a bit of reflection, and
it's nice.
I suppose it is your strategies to your music career that will help you improve, isn't it?
Yes, very much so, very much so. And we're down to the last one.
We are number 5.
Five.
Right. Okay. So pledge to invest more in your audience.
Your audience. And I always like saying audience rather than fans because there are different levels of fandom, casual to super fans. So if we generically describe them as one mass, as audience.
I think that's a better term, to be honest, because audience can be just anyone that's casually strolling by to.
So whatever level of that you're at as a musician or an independent musician, your audience are the people that technically pay your wages.
They're the ones that help you elevate between a hobbyist and somebody who can actually earn a revenue from their hobby.
And if so whether that money comes from streaming or whether that comes from door receipts at a gig,
merch,
if they're paying your wages, then technically they're your boss. And if you've got a job, how well do you treat your boss? If you treat your boss really, really badly and you've got a bit of an attitude with your boss and you have arguments with your boss, or if you're supposed to have a meeting with your boss and you don't turn up for your meeting, or your boss is trying to find you when you're supposed to be working and you're off sort of somewhere, maybe your boss isn't going to be particularly happy with you.
They're not going to give you the promotion you want.
No. So I think if you treat your audience maybe like you'd like to be treated yourself. But if you invest a little bit more time with your audience in 2020, in terms of social media posts, replying to comments, that sort of thing, engaging them via other forms. If you're at live shows, do you go out and mingle with your audience both before and after the show?
I think that's really important.
Very much so.
You guys have always done it, and it really does show. From the fans' they really appreciate it.
Yeah. And I'm sure I've used this specific term before, but I've talked about investing in the fan bank.
Yes, you have.
And I think maybe now, again in 2020, now is a good opportunity to figure out whether you've been investing enough. Live streams as well. You could do more in the way of live streams because you get lots of comments. There's another great way to engage and interact with your audience, and maybe pledge for 2020 to do more of that and go live more. Work on the basis that if you are doing gigs, you shouldn't be hiding in your dressing room and skulking there and sipping those cans. It's like
meet and greet.
Yes, meet and greet, press the flesh, and go live a whole lot more. And I think you find that the more you put into your audience in 2020, the more likely you are to get back. And I do make no bones and no apologies for occasionally keep repeating the same sort of themes, just because I think they are so important. And if an artist like me who doesn't get much, well, in fact, apart from the odd success, maybe we'll talk about the successes in a future episode, we don't get that much in the way of exposure and media sort of coverage, but we get lots of people at our shows, and I think that's down to a lot of the time the amount of time we invest online. And when people come to shows, we treat them really, really well.
You do.
And we engage with them after the show.
But it's not just that. It's not just the fans. Even the engineers and stuff like that. There's no attitude or anything like that. It's one of the first things that I see from being the other side of that you go there and you just get on with it without any kind of ego or anything like that with fans or the venues. And it's definitely. You don't need to behave like a rock star to be treated like one.
No. So again, think of your audience as the fan bank, make that investment, and eventually, as with all investments, you'll see a return.
And I mean, putting these things, because obviously this, we're recapping a lot of what we did last year and what you did last year, and you said it had a 25 increase on your.
Yeah, revenue from my band's winter tour is up 25% year on year.
So it really does work.
It can do. Right, you know what I've decided to do?
What's that?
In terms of the slight amendments to the formats, once we reach the end of an episode.
What's that?
You remember from your teaching days, we'll do a bit of a recap.
Okay.
So even just the headlines. So there's 5 ways to kickstart your music marketing in 2020. Do a bit of housekeeping.
Yes.
Go around your socials, go around your website, your online digital world. Is everything up to date?
Amend it,
does it need refreshing? Do you need to get any new photos done for this year? Are the photos that you've got the ones where you're about a stone and a half lighter?
Is it almost a bit like your dating profile?
That's a very good way to put it.
So, effectively you're trying to appeal to people, so I suppose it is quite...
Yeah. Set your goals.
Yep.
So plan the year ahead as to all
planner.
the things that you'd like to do over the coming 365-ish days. Stop doing the things that aren't working. Identify even if it's just one thing that isn't quite happening. Bin it off. Give yourself time to learn something new. Along similar lines, invest more in yourself. Listen to more music
Learn
marketing.
more, do more.
Succinctly put, Greg. And lastly, invest more in your audience this year.
Give them reasons to love you.
And you will see a return. All the love you give them, they will give you that love back.
Plus 25% if you
Plus 25%. That's a very good percentage we've been able to achieve.
Smash that subscribe button. Give us a reason to keep doing these things, because you're the reason why we do it. Otherwise, we are just talking to ourselves.
In 2020, if there's anything you'd like us to comment on, put it in a particular box, whatever box might be underneath this particular
I'm
video.
going to put subscribe button there, unlike this, so I can easy to edit.
And I think if you go to our page on Anchor FM, which is where this podcast is hosted, I think you can send us a message there.
Somebody try that. I want to see if it works.
Or just Google it. In fact, you might be able to do it yourself. Send yourself a message.
I'm talking to myself at the moment. Right, so there you go. Thanks for watching.
Yes, the first episode of 2020, there will be so many more to follow this. And we'll take you through the music marketing exploits over the coming year and beyond.
And let us know how you're getting on.
Thanks very much for listening or watching to this particular episode. We will see you next week.
See you next week.
Ta-ta, bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.